Welcome to Learn and Success.
Okay, let's unpack this. Today we're taking a deep dive into something, well, pretty much everyone can relate to: our vision and how we talk about it, right? Especially, when you're at the eye doctor. Our source material for this one is actually a transcript from a language learning deep dive. It's all centered around an eye doctor visit. Really interesting stuff. So, our mission today really is to pull out those key nuggets of knowledge, the essential vocab, maybe some tricky idioms, and definitely some useful phrases. The goal is so you can feel totally informed and, yeah, confident talking about your eyes. Whether you're just curious, or maybe you got an appointment coming up, or you just want to feel a bit more clued in on how we describe sight, this is for you.
Yeah, and what's fascinating here is how a scenario that seems, pretty simple, like just going to the eye doctor, how that can unlock so much practical language and real insight into how we perceive the world, quite literally in this case. It really brings up a big question, doesn't it? How do we actually articulate something so fundamental like our sight? And what does that tell us about how we communicate every day?
That's a great point. And the source, it just jumps right in with this guy, Arthur's experience. It starts with some core vocabulary that really brings his situation to life. First up, Arthur tells the doctor he struggles to see things that are far away. Now, y'all know struggle, but what's the specific feel of using it here compared to just saying, I don't know, it's hard?
Well, struggle here really implies a persistent effort, doesn't it? Like you're fighting against the difficulty, almost a battle. In a medical context, that's actually quite a powerful word. It suggests more than just like a brief inconvenience. It points to an ongoing challenge, maybe even something getting worse over time. It's really important for a doctor to get that sense of severity. The effort involved just trying to see clearly.
That distinction really helps, yeah. And what Arthur struggled with, well, it often led to things just not being clear. Which brings us to blurry. That word came up a few times, like when he says his vision is really blurry at times.
Exactly. Think of it like looking through a camera lens. It's just a bit out of focus. The edges aren't sharp, right? Details get lost. Everything looks kind of soft or hazy. It's a super common and often frustrating symptom for lots of vision issues. It basically means your eyes aren't making a crisp image.
Okay. Then, of course, there's a key word you hear in basically any doctor's office, but especially in optometrists: prescription. We usually think of it maybe for medicine, that piece of paper, but here it's for glasses or contacts, right? Corrective lenses.
That's a perfect way to frame it. It's the doctor's official instruction, their directive for what you need to fix an issue. For eyes, yeah, it's a very precise measurement. It's about the lens power needed to get light focusing sharply on your retina. It's interesting, actually, how prescription covers both meds and lenses. It kind of highlights its role in fixing different health needs and just how vital it is for patient care.
Arthur's story really makes these terms click, doesn't it? You can picture him sitting there, trying to explain his symptoms. Starts with a common complaint: headaches, trouble seeing far away, even though he says he's always had 20/20 vision.
Ah, yes. And this is where it gets really interesting because 20/20 vision, it's not just a casual term for perfect sight. It's actually a specific measurement. It means you can see clearly at 20 feet what a person with quote-unquote normal vision can see at 20 feet. But what's insightful is how many people think 20/20 means your eyes are perfectly healthy, when really it only measures visual acuity, how sharp your sight is, not the overall health. Arthur's surprise really shows how deeply ingrained that benchmark is in our idea of normal sight.
Yeah, he definitely seemed surprised, and the doctor's first thought, hearing Arthur's problem, was that he might be farsighted. Now, this is where lots of people get mixed up, right? Nearsighted, farsighted.
Oh, absolutely. It's a very common mix-up. And the doctor's initial maybe slight misstep here It's a great example of why it's so crucial for patients to describe symptoms clearly, not just guess the condition. So if you're farsighted, the technical word is hyperopia, your eye focuses light behind the retina. That makes close-up things blurry, but distant stuff is usually clear. Nearsightedness, or myopia, is the opposite. Light focuses in front of the retina. So distant objects are blurry, but close-up vision is fine. Arthur's struggling to see far away. That's classic nearsightedness, which is why that little moment in the source kind of underscores the need for precision, even from the pros.
Okay, that clears up a lot of confusion right there. Good explanation. So as the visit goes on, Arthur has to read the eye chart, and he says, I can't quite make out the other symbol. Which brings us to another really useful phrase, make out. What's the best way to think about using that one?
Make out here just means to discern something clearly, to distinguish it. It often implies you're having a bit of trouble, like you need to put in some effort to see or understand it. It's not just about physically seeing something, but about recognizing it, identifying it. Like you might try to make out a shape in the fog or make out what someone's saying over loud noise. It really captures that moment. Something goes from being fuzzy or unclear to recognizable.
Got it. So discerning distinctly with maybe some effort. And when Arthur admits he can't make out the symbol, the doctor kind of exclaims, wow, Arthur, you're as blind as a bat. Which is one of those fantastic, really vivid English idioms we hear all the time.
Oh, yeah. Blind as a bat? Super common. And it's definitely an exaggeration, right, for dramatic effect. It doesn't mean you're literally blind. It just means your vision is really, really poor. Like you can barely see. What's funny about the origin, though, bats aren't actually blind. They just rely heavily on echolocation more than sight. So the common idea that they can't see well is, well, a misconception. So the idiom kind of plays on that popular misunderstanding, which probably helps it stick.
Huh. That's fascinating, actually. Didn't know that about bats. So beyond just describing vision itself, the source also threw up some really useful general phrases, things that just popped up in Arthur's visit. One that stood out was, what seems to be, the doctor uses it right at the start. Hello, Arthur, what seems to be the problem?
Yeah, what seems to be is such a versatile and polite way to ask about a problem or situation. It's not too direct, not accusatory. You can use it with the matter, the trouble, the issue, the problem.
Yeah.
It sort of creates this open invitation for the other person to just explain what's going on. It makes it a very empathetic and effective way to start talking about an issue, especially in a setting like that.
That makes total sense for a doctor's visit. Very gentle. And then there was the phrase, head on over. The doctor tells Arthur, head on over to the other room. It sounds so natural, so casual.
It really does. Head on is a great informal way to talk about moving somewhere. It suggests purpose, maybe a little bit of efficiency or directness. And you can use it with different prepositions, right? Head on into a building, head on out. If you're leaving, head on up to go upstairs, head on down. It's a dynamic phrase, implies action, taking a direct route. Very common in everyday chat.
Yeah, super useful. Okay, so let's recap a bit. We've journeyed through Arthur's eye doctor visit, learned about 20/20 vision and what it really means, or maybe what it doesn't mean.
Right, not the whole picture of eye health.
Exactly. And we sorted out farsighted versus nearsighted. We unpacked some cool expressions like blind as a bat.
Even learned bats aren't actually blind.
Ah, right. And we looked at how to clearly make out information and those handy phrases like what seems to be and head on over. So hopefully this whole deep dive gives you not just, new words, but maybe a clearer lens, pardon the pun, on how we actually describe vision and health. It's really about more than just the vocabulary, isn't it? It's about understanding and feeling confident when you have those everyday conversations about something as basic as sight.
Absolutely. And if we connect this to the bigger picture for a second, understanding how we describe vision, it also kind of deepens our appreciation for how complex it all is. The different ways our eyes let us perceive the world around us. And speaking of complexities, our source material actually ended with a really great question, something for you, the listener, to maybe mull over. It asked, what is the technical term for the condition where someone can't distinguish between certain colors, like red, blue, and green? That's a really fascinating area to think about, too, as it touches on, well, another distinct aspect of how we perceive the world.
Ooh, good question to leave people with. Keep that one in your mind as you go about your day. We love that you're taking these deep dives with us.